All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our digital media production introduction to Garageband. Okay, so here we go. We're going to get started now. So I am on the Canvas screen and I'm looking off to the side and I see Allison. She's going to be my head nod confirming and also Mike live when she needs to pipe in and let me know if you're seeing what I'm seeing in Zoom. I'm also simultaneously doing this as a Zoom presentation. Okay, so let's get started. The Zoom screen, I'm sharing our Canvas page. I'm doing it from student view. And on our Canvas page, if you scroll down to assignment number 4, we are currently working on GarageBand. GarageBand's 30 points. The instruction and details are here in this link. I will click that in just a moment. Thus far, we've covered creating a SoundCloud account, and I recorded it and set it to our Canvas page. Breaking down the pop song arrangement. So today I can either arrange this GarageBand song in that pop song arrangement, which would make it an over 3-minute length song, or I can do the upside down pyramid demonstration. And both work. Upside down pyramid is going to be shorter. It'll work more towards the direction of a minute. So you guys have a choice in terms of your arrangement, but there will be some rules to the arrangement. We'll look at that when we look at the assignment layout here in just a moment. But the pop song arrangement is a good demo to showing you how songs are arranged and laid out. And then if any of you are working in FL Studios, this is the complete beginner basics in FL Studio. I found that and posted that for you as well. So let's go back to the assignment, GarageBand 3-track project under assignment 4, and then we'll look at what details we're going to be dealing with today. So, project's going to be due by Thursday of next week. We may extend that to Friday. Let's work on it during the week and we'll see how we're working in this virtual world. It may be extended to Friday midnight instead of Thursday midnight, but we'll work with that. The assignment drop-off is right here, submit assignment. And here's what it is. Upon completion of this assignment, you will upload to your SoundCloud account the 3 completed GarageBand audio tracks. Then copy the URL address from your SoundCloud page and paste it to the assignment submission box, which is up here. You'll click on that and then submit by the URL loaded up to SoundCloud. So what do those 3 audio tracks look like? Here they are. The first one is complete a low tempo jazz or hip hop style track. Low tempo means 50 to 89 beats per minute. So that is a setting you will change in GarageBand. The default setting for beats per minute in GarageBand is 120 beats per minute. You have to go in and manually change it. When we are finished, we're going to export it out as a compressed AIF track. Okay? AIF is a file type, just like MP3 is a file type. Jazz or hip hop? Jazz instruments. We covered this yesterday. Simplified drum kit, stand-up bass, maybe guitar, maybe piano, maybe keyboards, maybe horn section. Those are typical jazz instruments in a band. Hip hop, a little different. Typically not a live drummer, typically an electronic based drum kit, typically a synth bass line, typically sound samples, maybe even piano riffs, but usually done in sample form. Hip hop. In fact, we'll do a demo today of hip hop at 50 to 89 beats per minute. We'll do that as our single demo today. But remember, you got to complete 2 more tracks. So the second track that you'll end up completing is a mid-tempo rock or country version track. Mid-tempo is 90 to 119 beats per minute. You'll also export that as an AIF track. Remember, rock bands are typically constructed of drums, bass, guitar, and then some other forms of other accompanying instrumentation, typically like a piano or an organ or something. Country-based instruments may include an acoustic guitar, a banjo, a slide guitar, a fiddle. Lots of different types of instruments to complete that. And then our third audio track, completely separate. So you're going to complete 3 different projects within this project of GarageBand. The third project or third file is complete a high-tempo, all-electronic track that's 120 beats per minute to 170. Export that as an AIFF. Electronic tracks are typically house music, trance, drum and bass, dubstep, trap. These are all different electronic-based tracks. And what we mean by electronic-based is that the drums are not live drums. They are electronic-based drums. They are electronic-based synths, electronic-based instrumentation like bass lines. 120 to 170. If you want a good dance rhythm, you're between 124 to 128. That's where most standard dance rhythm tracks, when we dance and groove on a dance floor and we're not doing hip hop and we're grooving, it's typically 124 to 128. So you may want to choose somewhere within that zone if you want something danceable. All right, in this assignment, these are the standards that you have to conform to within each one of those track lines. Okay? So first, in the arrangement, you must have different instrument types per each layer. Standard style goes drums, then a bass line, then a guitar or synth, and then percussion and or horns. So typically, if I've got a track on a layer on a line that's running nonstop in the loop, and when we talk in terms of beats or bars, 16 beats or 4 bars, that's how I want to start truncating my loops. I will typically go 16 count or 4 bars of a drum track, then another 16 of that drum track, but I can't just keep it that way. Now I've got to add something on the next layer, which may be probably a bass line. And then go 16 count with the drum and bass, then make a change or a variance where it's going to be, I will add a guitar or synth or a percussion or horn. Continue to add, continue to delete every 16 count. That makes the arrangement different as you make that arrangement. And that's also what coincides with number 2, which is no section can stay the same in combination longer than a 16 beat or 4 bar, like I just explained. I'll show you that in demo when we pull up in GarageBand. All right. Number 3, all songs must be melodic and rhythmic. You'll know that when you play the song. You'll know if it's train wrecking or if it sounds good. Okay? No jingles used. Jingles are already prearranged, preset songs that are available in GarageBand. You don't want those. We're going into GarageBand to create our own. All tracks must be instrumental without vocals. Please don't add any of the vocal samples from GarageBand, and don't sing over the tracks with a recorded mic. Keep them all instrumental. All 3 arrangements must have a length of time more than 1 minute or 60 seconds. Can it be a 3-minute and 40-second long pop track arrangement? Absolutely. Will that take a while? Yes, it will. It can, especially if you're beginning, which you folks mostly are. So I would keep it to a simple upside down pyramid rather than the pop formula, and keep it to a minute or just over a minute. As you start to get more accustomed with GarageBand and all of its loops and all of its sounds and all of its filters, and you become a better songwriter, start to use that pop formula that I gave you guys yesterday, which would be intro, verse, pre-chorus, verse, pre-chorus, and then a bridge, and then a chorus, and sometimes an outro on the end of that. Okay? When saving your tracks, you're going to save them twice. You're going to save the template. Remember in Photoshop there was Photoshop template, and then you exported it out as a JPEG? Here we are. We're in GarageBand, and so you're going to do a file, save as, to keep the working template. That's the GarageBand working template. In case you want to go back and continue to work on it, you have the layers and everything else arranged in GarageBand. When you're ready to export that out as an audio track and upload it to SoundCloud or play it on your iPod or iPad or phone, you're going to do a share, which is at the top, a share, export song to disk, and compress it out as an AIF track, AIFF, or an MP3 if you want to play it on your phone or iPod player. I gave you some suggestions on other loop-based softwares that you can work in addition to GarageBand or instead of GarageBand. GarageBand, remember, comes free with the Macs. We also have it available in our Splashtop, so you can get onto it at our workstations at school. But I gave you a lot of other alternatives. And yes, some people did ask, can I use the GarageBand on my iPhone? Check it out and see if it's robust enough to match what we're doing and you're able to duplicate what we do in the demo. Go for it. Before starting GarageBand arrangements or assignments, all students will create the SoundCloud account, which you guys did yesterday. And that's where you'll be uploading your 3 completed GarageBand tracks, post them publicly, and copy the URL address and turn it in here. And again, we will be demoing the GarageBand software now. So without further ado, any questions? Okay, so what I'm going to do is open up GarageBand. And when I click and open GarageBand, this screen, right, Allison? This screen that says empty project for me starts. So if I click on empty project and I choose it, because it is an empty project, I now get stop share, reshare. I get this screen. Allison, yeah? Are you seeing the MIDI keyboard?
Yeah, we see the track types.
Excellent. So the track types are this, folks. If I came in with a MIDI keyboard and I wanted to control the piano, control the synths, control the bass, I could even hit the keyboard and trigger drum tracks. For 99 bucks, I could have a baby grand piano simulated through GarageBand rather than actually buying a baby grand piano for the house, and I could record it. The more expensive keyboards have more weighted keys, so that's kind of where that goes with a MIDI keyboard if you're interested. If I want to sing into my track, I can use a live mic, and in fact, this is the port where we're going to open up and get into GarageBand is through the live mic, but not use a live mic, because here we are at input, and I have no inputs. I didn't hook up a snowball mic or a mic with a preamp and plug it directly into GarageBand, which is beautiful because GarageBand will record directly in for me if I wanted to. Very cool. Here's another option. If I'm a guitarist and I don't have the means to have the band with me, I can do a bunch of loops and create the band without the guitar. And what this preset allows me to do is have a bunch of amplifiers that I plug my guitar straight into GarageBand, and I can play through those amplifiers. Really cool. Saves me lots of money and time. Or if I'm a drummer and I want to make drum arrangements because I want to have the bass kick, the snare drum, the tom drums, the rider crash cymbal, and the hi-hats separate, not looped together in a kit, which is what we're going to use. It's much easier. Remember T-Pain had that dude that was doing the trap music for him, but we don't want that. We want to be able to work with loops. But if you're a drummer and you want to make your own, here you go. You start there. But we're going to go to a live mic. Click create. This is where I have to change my screen again to share. And this brings us to GarageBand software, correct? Yep. Okay, good. All right, let's get oriented. So in GarageBand, the library over here on the side will give me presets because remember we came in as a vocalist, so it gave me an audio line to record to, and it gave me as a vocalist a bunch of filters that I can use to make my voice sound like it's coming through a tube mic or a bright vocal like I'm in a hall, a concert hall, or whatever it may be. I'm not using any of this. So I'm going to close this library so it expands the view of my timeline further. So I'm going to click close the library. Remember this little library button in the upper left corner allows me to open it and close it. And down below are filters. If I don't want to see those filters, I can click my filters button, and now I've got a big blank open timeline. I do like filters because for each line that I bring in, I can either change the compression, the EQs, the ambience, or the reverb, or I can use some plugins down here in the bottom corner. Plugins are going to be wah-wah pedals, phasers, all kinds of different types of filter sounds to change or modify that instrument loop that I bring into the timeline. Do I like that? Yes. Can I do that per track? Here we are. Look at my mouse where I'm swirling. Do you see that, Allison? Yeah. If I yeah, the bottom left corner.
Yeah,
awesome.
I do.
So if I click on master, this will affect everything in my timeline. So if I want to make everything sound brighter or everything have a lower end bass frequency from the drums to the bass to the guitar to everything, this will affect everything. In fact, even a parametric EQ. I'm not going to do that right now though. Okay. So what I'm going to do is play with it track by track, not master. And I'll show you just a little sampling of that, but my goodness, that is a very expansive window of opportunity to change your sounds when you want to. All right, I also want to modify my GarageBand screen so that I can see it because I have a zoom screen off to the side and I don't want you guys in the way when I'm seeing all your faces off to the side, along with my timeline in GarageBand. Now the GarageBand timeline is not set up in time. If you look up here on the grid, it's set up in what we call beats and bars. So beats, 1 beat. I'm going to click on the time grid. 2 beats, 3 beats, 4. Every 4 is a bar. 4 beats equals a bar. 2 bars, 3 bars, 4 bars. So as you see, I can count these 4 block grids and recognize that as my playhead snaps to each one of those bars, it's keeping it so that when I bring a loop up on the timeline, it wants to snap to one of those 1 counts. And I typically want to snap it to a bar. After 4 bars, that's 1 16 count or 1 4 bar block. Then I'm going to make some arrangement changes. You can do this in 8 beats or 2 bars, or 16 beats and 4 bars. I'm going to choose today to do 4 bars because it's easier. And I'm going to show you the easiest route. Okay? So today, instead of making a pop arrangement, I'm going to modify that into this backwards pyramid build so that I can make a minute-long track. Now, I can't see the top grid, so I'm going to also reduce the size of my screen up a touch. Draw it down in terms of presentation. Now I can see the top portion of GarageBand, and the top portion of GarageBand shows me bars and beats where my playhead is. Right here. It also gives me the tempo. Remember? Hip hop or jazz needs to be between 50 and 89 beats per minute. So I'm going to change this tempo right now by double clicking on it to 89 beats per minute and hit enter. So now everything that's going to be in my loops, which I don't have open yet, will be at 89 beats per minute. It quantizes it. It compresses or expands those beats and loops to be 89 beats per minute, which is fantastic. It's really a cool feature. This is going to be a 4 on the floor track with a C major key. You can change those keys. You can change that measure. We're going to keep it there. And then I can change this from viewing on my timeline in beats mode. I can go to time mode. Now time mode, be very careful. I repeat, be very careful because this playhead now does not snap, it slides. So if I put a loop up here on the timeline and I want to snap it into gear in timing, it won't, it'll slide. And my sound will probably be off. Meaning they're not playing in unison at the right time, okay? So don't be in time mode, be in beats and project mode. I only go to time mode when I want to check my overall time to make sure I'm over a minute long. We're going to stick with beats and project, beats and project mode. And, watch this. When I play from the beginning, do you hear that little pop? That's keeping time. That's a metronome. That's what this purple box up here is. I don't need a metronome because I'm not playing without a drummer. Like if I was plugged in as a guitarist and I wanted to keep time in my head and play acoustic guitar without any other drums, I'd have a metronome playing to keep me in time and rhythm. I don't need that. So I'm going to undo the purple button and get rid of my metronomes. Okay? You got to do that, people. Each step is very important that I've shown you thus far. Okay, let's get busy and get to the loops if you guys have no questions thus far. The loops in the upper right-hand corner, there's a notepad. There's loops. We'll come back to that. And this is where you can input other content from, say, iTunes or other media and bring it into your timeline and play to it, but we're not doing that. We're strictly working with loops. Now, in this loops mode, if you guys can see, I can't see a whole lot of my timeline very well, so I'm going to try to expand it by closing this bar and window. Let's explain something here. In each one of these audio tracks that you're going to place down on the timeline, they have a volume dial. You can isolate it and just listen to just that track. You can mute just this track and listen to the other tracks. And here, avoiding feedback, that's a gate, but we're not going to use that right now. So I'm going to keep my volume At 0 decibel, that's just the solid input. And also, by the way, you can pan left or right on the track, and you can even record that in if you use the record buttons up here. Again, I want to keep this simple. I'm not going to do any panning. I'm not going to do any recording. I'm just going to do loop layout today. Okay? And maybe a little bit of filtering. Probably not fade in, fade out, but I will probably show you that at the very, very end. Okay, let's get straight to it. All right, remember I'm going to do a hip-hop track, and I've got loops. Holy smokes, my friends. Tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons. That's way too much to go through. And if I want to get to drums, drums are mixed in with bass lines, with guitar loops, with all kinds of stuff here right now. So how do I filter this? You got to click on instruments and say, I just want to look at drums. Oh, awesome. That's cool. But now I've got drums that are maybe not hip hop. Okay, so I can play and then click on it again and pause. Play and pause. And this is just previews of my loops. It plays them down at the bottom and it tells me how many beats per minute. Excuse me, it's not the beats per minute. It tells me how many beats are in the loop. So the loop is an 8 count beat. And I can reloop it from there. This one happens to be 16. Clunky chonky. So, and this one happens to be 32 right here. So, these are not hip hop. How do I get it to hip hop beats only? I'm going to go to genre and choose hip hop. And now all of these beats are hip hop drums. The Amber Beat kit has the same kit. Oh, here's another important note. So when they give you the groups, altered state, there's only 2 altered state beats. That means that the altered state is the kit, and these are 2 different arrangements in the same kit. Arrangement 1. Arrangement 2. A little more space. Just a different arrangement of the same instrument. When I say instrument, that means the same snare, same kick, same hi-hats, cymbals, and toms. Okay? Amber kit has 4. And it looks to me like it's got beats and then it slows it down or spaces it out for me. So here's Amber Beat. Second one has more of a snare drum. Amber Beat slow. Very spaced. It's in half measures. Amber Beat slow 2. Ooh, cool little percussive pieces. Here it is in loop. Yeah, that's cool. So I could choose that, and I could probably bring up and create a variance of drum arrangement with that. Probably the more spacious portions of the beats first, and then have it build up. I could go there. Lots of different ones. So let's see. Where should I go with this? Yeah, let's find the backbone beat first and bring it up to the timeline for the arrangement. I will go to Daylight Kit's cool. Not enough options in first class beat. It's just that. Lights. Two separated for me. Low key. Ooh, I like low key. I like the hi-hat. Low key too. Same beat but without the hi-hat sizzling. Alright, we got an arrangement. Let's grab this. Low key 2, I'm going to grab it and bring it to my timeline. Can I bring it to audio line 1? Sure, why not? Can I play it? Will it play? Looks like I've got it on mute. So if I play it, nothing's going to play. So I got to take the mute button off. Now it'll play on my timeline. Cool. Let's zoom in on that just a touch. So I pull my zoom in or zoom out bar right here in the upper right corner. Very squeezed timeline. If I want to see more of my timeline, I get rid of my loops. I can bring back my loops at any time. So I'll do that in a moment. As I look at my timeline, okay, so how can I start to adjust and work with this loop? Now, if I count it, that's a 1, 2, 3, 4 count, or 1 bar, and a 1, 2, 3, 4 count, or 2 bars. So it's 2 bars. And if I'm going to make this in a 4-bar loop, or 16 count loop, I've got to grab the top part of the audio track and run the loop on it. Boom. So now when it plays in loop, but only to the point where I ended it. And that's the end of the loop, but it'll keep playing. So it's up to me to either extend the loop or add another drum beat and snap it on the 1 count right there. Now I want to show you a couple things that you can do with this drum beat before I continue on. I'm going to zoom in on it just a touch more. Slide it open. Here we are. Here's the 4 bars. Now, as you notice, I re-looped it up here at the top, right? From there. But I can't drag it this direction to the left anymore from the top. I have to move my playhead down to the bottom of the loop. Now check it out. If I click and grab there, I am shortening the track. Shortening the track. Shortening the track. Let's say I shorten it down to the first count. And then I grab the loop at the top. It re-loops that shortened version. How cool is that? Check it out if I play it. So it plays a shortened version of it. Run it back to the beginning of the loop. Extend that to maybe 2 count. I can loop that 2 count. That's not a full drum rhythm, right? But this is how you can do, if you've ever watched those drummers do builds, like house track builds, what they basically do is they copy a track like this. So I Command C, copy it. I can also put my playhead somewhere else and hit Command V, paste it. So that's the same drum. And I can right click over here on the arrangement of instruments and say, oh, I want a new audio track. And I can grab this drum rhythm and offset it by 1 count. Hear how that sounds. Oh, let's do it. Let's do it actually after a 4 count. Oh.
How did you make it so that it was like slower basically? So like you make it quicker?
That's the tempo right here. So if I change the tempo right up here to, let's say, 120, enter. Listen to the arrangement of the tracks now. It goes a lot faster. So just depending upon how I want to arrange this, there's all kinds of ways of doing that. But again, it's a hip-hop track, so I'm going to keep it at a lower tempo, 89 beats per minute. So now my track is actually this speed. And I could double time that again, and then it becomes a bigger build after you do it. 4 count, 4 count, 4 count. I'm not going to do that though. So I'm going to click on that track, hit my delete button, or right click on this track and delete that track just to keep my timeline simple. And showing you that demo of how I shortened the track and extended the loop of just the basic bottom portion of the track was just a demo. I don't want to do that right now. Again, I want to keep it simple. So I'm probably going to go with a 4-bar, 16 count loop, and then add in my loops the next drum arrangement in that same kit that's a little more complex. And remember, it snaps right on the grid. It snaps to the 1, so keep it on the 1. So here I am on the 1, 2, first bar, second bar, third bar, fourth. Now we go on to the 5th bar, 6th bar, 7th. So I'm going to keep going in arrangements of 4 bars at a time. And I will add a bass line down here in just a moment. So let's zoom that out so I can see it in easier 16 count bars. There it is, 16 count. You can even copy. I can highlight, oops, Apple Z or Command Z. I can highlight all of this. Command C, which is a right-click copy. I can move my playhead anywhere. Command V. You can grab that whole block that I just brought in and snap it. And now I've got a relooped of the same arrangement that I just created. So there's lots of ways of duplicating your arrangement once you get it more complex. Okay, so let's go baseline. What's next in baseline? So right now, and so far, all I've got in my loop bass is 1/16, 2/16, 3/16, 4/16. Okay, and I'm going to keep changing it in 16s. So I'm in hip hop genre. Let's go to instruments and change it from drums to bass. Listen for a cool bass. Cool, but a lot of space in between on the bass. Space on the bass. Play a different one. So that's a constant bass line. Thuddy. I want something a little more groovy. Ooh, that one's just a boo. Boo. That is an interesting sub bass. I like that for a breakdown. I actually might grab that and use that somewhere, so I'm just going to throw it up on my timeline here real quick. In fact, just so that I know I'm not using it in the timeline yet, I'm just going to scrap it at the end. Let's look around for another one. Big long bass hum. Ooh, I like that. Grimy. Electro-y bass, I like it. I'm going to grab that. That's going to be my next 16 count. And it's in 16, which is a great arrangement. So, will I play that and loop that? I'm going to check it out. Let's go back an 8 count of the beat, play from there, and hear how the bass line comes in. And I may want to lower the volume of the bass line or increase the volume of the bass line depending upon how loud it is in with the mix. Again, the mix is based on the drums. So I like this bass line. I don't like it with this second drum arrangement. I'm going to get rid of that second drum arrangement and just continue to loop my low-key heat beat 2. I think that's the best beat. The one with the added hi-hat stinks, so I'm not going to use that. All right, so bass line sounds groovy. I've got this bass over here for something that I may use, maybe as a break. We'll come back to that. Yeah. Okay. So I will continue to build on this, but I'm just starting to build it in 16 counts. My next element that I want to bring in that may sound good, maybe in hip hop world, change my instrument choices from bass to maybe a piano and grab a piano piece. That's cool. I want something a little more sampley sounding though. Sounds cool. A little eclectic. Ooh, I like that. That's like a sample stab. Sample stab. Key change. Key change progression. Boom, and then it creates the loop. I'm going to grab that loop, bring it to my 16 count and snap it on the timeline. Listen to it in with the rest of the mix and see if it's melodic and rhythmic. So let's play back 8 count on the bass line and drums. And play it. Dig it. So if I think about this as an arrangement, you guys, drums first, bass next, piano, maybe. But I like an intro to start without the drums because this isn't a dance track. I like it to start off with its rhythm piece. And so I think what I might do Let's close these loops for just 1 second. Look at our arrangement. And expand it on our timeline. I'm going to put my playhead at the beginning. Zoom it out just a touch. There's my timeline. Okay? So as I look at this, and by the way, let's just hone in on the piano for a second. I really like how the piano has a lot of resonance to it, has a lot of reverb, but I want more. So if I want to add more reverb to the piano, I got to be clicked on the piano line, number 1. Number 2, I'm going to add reverb that's down here. I could even go to the plugins and add reverb, but I'm going to do it from here, this dial. So listen as I isolate, because right now it's drums, bass, and piano. Too much to listen to. So if I play that again, I'm going to loop that longer so I can hear it longer. If I put headphones on just that track right there, I can listen to just the piano and mute out the rest of my timeline for the moment. Okay? So I'm going to dial up reverb as I play the piano and get it to a place where it's got bigger room and bigger space. Here we go. Play it. Grab the reverb dial. Exaggerate it. Big. Add ambiance. Woo! It sounds like a bigger room. Bigger presence. Dig it. That's what I want. I want a bigger presence to that piano because it's so nice. It's so cool sounding. But I may lower the volume just a touch on that as we progress. Now, here's the other piece to the arrangement. Maybe I don't want the drums to start first. Maybe I want that piano to start, because right now in my arrangement, it works like this. Right? So I like it, but I think it would be cool if I grabbed this piano loop, brought it to the beginning, grab my drum loops by highlighting all of them and then moving them at one fell swoop, and then grabbing my bass lines and moving them to the next 16 for development. And I kind of dig the idea of when this drops out, there'd be a dropout right here. So let's do this. I'm going to cut my bass line down to a 4 count, bring in this really cool, weird sounding 4 count sound along with the piano, and then it'll kick into gear with the piano, another 4 count. We'll bring back in this bass line by copying it. Right click, copy this little piece, move my playhead to the end of that. Command V, which I pasted it, grab the bottom because remember I cut it and let it complete itself. And then drag that loop further and we'll keep it riding. Hey, I want the drums to drop out right here. So I'll pull back the drums of 4 count so it's now just the bass line, just the piano. So let's listen to this arrangement thus far. Thus far I've got piano, piano and drums, piano and bass, drop out the drums on the last 4 count, change the bass line, isolate and solo the piano, kick it into the chorus. Let's hear it. I like that. Boo! It's funny because you could do a few things here. If I want to cut the piano out at that point, put my playhead, click on my piano line, and you can go to the top where it says edit, and you can say split region at playhead. Now that shows you the shortcut that you can also hit command, or excuse me, not command, yeah, command, which is the Apple key, If you are on a Mac, to the left and right of your space bar is the command key T. And what that'll do is it'll split the region. I clicked on it, so it cut my piano track right there so that I can pull it back a 4 count and just get that boo by itself, and then it kicks into gear, right? So it'll sound like this. I wouldn't do that to a normal track, but I think it's funny for the sake of arrangement right now to hear the exaggerated bass line, boo, just go down and then go into the chorus component. So as I continue to build this and have fun with this, there's so much more you can do. I just showed you a bunch of different things. I could even go in and say, you know what? I want it to show automation. So I'm going to go to Mix, Show Automation. And what I can now do is I can have this piano fade up by clicking on the timeline of it, double clicking, giving it a marker point, double clicking at the beginning and bending that down. So now it's going to gradually fade up and play. So from the beginning of my track, not a big fan of the fade, so I'll Command Z and undo. But that's what you can do. You can also fade off everything on the end if you wanted to. All right, so let's get back out of show automation. I'm going to get mix, not show automation. I don't want to look at the fade in, fade outs. And I like my arrangement. I like it in 16. It's got piano. Next 16, it's got drums added. Next 16, it's got a nice variance in bass. Now what's different? Anything? What else could I add? Or subtract, because I may go backwards on this, but I may think in terms of hip hop, what else could I add that may be a nice, remember, no jingles. Strings maybe. Maybe. Bring it down to another piece of the timeline. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, I'm just going to scratch the idea of adding something additional onto it. So let's go here. Stab it onto the chorus. Give it just strings. I'm going to add my bass line longer. Excuse me, that's my piano. I'm going to keep my bass line only there during that chorus. No, I'll add it another 4 bars. I'll have my drums add another 4 bars by themselves, and I'll have my piano end by itself. Okay? Now, if I was talking backwards pyramid, remember it was the drums, but if my piano was up here at the top, there's your backwards upside down pyramid. It's building, 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 breaking down, breaking down, breaking down. What's the length of time in terms of my arrangement? Go here to the right of the key and measure. Click on that arrow. Go to time. Now I can track my time. Oh, yeah, I'm over a minute. By the way, repeat. By the way, do not stay in time mode and move your clips on the timeline. Watch what happens when I move the strings. They slide. That's bad. Because if I slide something, if I slide the drums, oh shoot, when I play it, they're not in time. Messed up. I'm going to Apple Z undo that. Apple Z undo my strings. That's undo. So don't be in time mode to move anything. I repeat, don't be in time mode to move anything. Just be in time mode to look at how long is my track. Oh, cool, I'm over a minute. I'm grooving. Go back to Beats and Project. Ah, now I can click and move stuff because I'm in snapped groove mode of beats and measures and beats and bars. So here we go. This is the arrangement. Let's check it. We'll see if those strings come in nicely at the end. It sounds good. And we know the outro is going to sound good because it just breaks it down the opposite of how we built it up. Strings are awesome. So I probably do want to start making an arrangement with those strings throughout the track and start to vary it every 16, creating an intro, a verse, a pre, a chorus, maybe a bridge where it's just this kind of going off, the strings are going off, and then going to a chorus and then an outro. There's lots of different ways of arranging this. This is the safest way, which is the upside down pyramid mode, rather than the pop formula mode. And there you have it. I completed that. If I was halfway through this, I'd still want to go to File, Save As, and save it to my folder, period 2. Oh wait, I don't have a folder in there. That is GarageBand. Let's create a new one. Call it GarageBand RK for my initials, so I know it's mine. Create. And I'm going to title this, yep, it's hip hop. That's correct. And my initials, RK, are right there. I may even do Rob K just to make it a little bit easier to note. I'm going to save that template. It's a GarageBand arrangement template to my folder. Now I'm actually done. So I can go the next step, which is at the top, share, export song to disk. Sharing export song to disk allows me to make it an MP3 and change the quality standard of it. It doesn't go to 320 kpbs, which I think is the best, but it doesn't allow me to do that. But it does allow me to do an MP3 at 256 kpbs. I'm going to go to AIFF. I want it to be a full audio track, high quality audio track, CD quality. Hip Hop Rob K. It's already named, and it's dated, and it's time stamped in case I save different versions of this. Saving it to my folder. I'm going to hit export. It's compressing the audio track together, and now it's done. So when I go to close GarageBand and I hit save again, it updates the save. I get out of GarageBand and quit it. Go to, don't know why my screen just darkened, but it did. I'm going to go to my folder on the desktop. And I'm going to share screen that for you guys. And as we check in Finder on my period 2 GarageBand arrangement, there's my hip hop template and my exported out finished audio track. And that'll be the first track that I upload up to my SoundCloud. And when I upload that up to SoundCloud, I'll be complete with, when I do all 3 tracks, I'll be complete with the assignment. Now, I promise you, you complete the assignment, you do all 3 tracks, you're not going to want to stop there. You're going to want to start to explore and create your own arrangements, your own tempo, experiment around with other instruments and other things that may be a mixture of hip hop and jazz or hip hop and rock. You can do all kinds of things. But for now, this is the best way to complete the assignment. Okay, I'm going to stop share.